call together the city council meeting for the city of Eldridge, Iowa on Monday, March 18th, 2024 at 7 p.m. Roll call.
Thackeray,
Present.
Ilse,
Present.
Collins,
Present.
Campbell,
Present.
Adrian asked to be excused this evening. Pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Looking for a motion to approve the agenda as presented. So moved. Motion by Dr. Reed, second by Collins to approve the agenda. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Nays? The ayes have it. Public comment. Is there anybody in the public would like to address the council this evening?
I would.
State your name, sir.
I'm Ray Nees. I'm the building official for the city of Eldridge. I'd like to comment that due to city administration, this council and my coworkers working so well with the contractors that are in the city of Eldridge, I was able to take my wife and her 3 sisters to Cambodia for 3 weeks. And it was a phenomenal trip. It was every day you're just in awe of where you're at. Every second of every day is complete culture shock. I have taken a tuk-tuk on a ferry across the Mekong River. I've seen a farm where they raise silkworms to get the thread so that they can make silk sheets and things like that. We got dropped off in an alley in Battambang. Didn't know where we were at. It was about 1 o'clock in the afternoon, 97 degrees, me, 4 women over 50 and 14 bags. Because we took some extra bags that were full of clothes to give to charity and that while we were there. Every single day we did things that were phenomenal. 5 days in Phnom Penh, 3 days in Battambang, where we visited a sister that decided to stay in Cambodia when the rest of the family left. 4 days in Siem Reap. We toured all of the temples. We went to Angkor Wat for the sunrise, and the pictures that you see of Angkor Wat being reflected in the lake. I've got one of those that I took myself. We went back to Phnom Penh for 2 more days. And then we went to Sihanoukville and took a ferry over to an island called Koh Rong, which is in the Gulf of Thailand. When we went there, we left Chicago at 10 o'clock Friday morning with all of the time changes. We got there at 11 o'clock Saturday night, and it never got dark the whole time in the plane. On the way back, we left Seoul at 10 o'clock Friday morning, and we got to Chicago at 8 o'clock Friday morning. It was a very long day. But I was only able to do that because city administration, this council, and my coworkers agreed to take on a little bit extra while I was gone. And I've been back for a week. I've had not a single complaint from any contractor, not a single complaint from any of my coworkers. Everybody worked together very, very well. And I know a lot of the contractors. We let them know that I was doing this. They were supportive, and they arranged their schedule so that our staff helping wouldn't get inundated. The inspectors that I had helping while I was gone, both of them reported back that everything went smooth. They had nothing but great things to say about our staff. Just one more example. Sir, just one more example of how City of Eldridge is a great place to be. Thank you.
Thank you, Ray. Thanks, Ray.
Neil.
You're the first one. Yeah, turn it down so that fan.
All right.
Keeps rising. Oh, wait, just.
Moving on to 5A, consideration to approve the city council minutes from the March 4th, 2024 meeting.
No
discussion
discussion here.
Motion by Scott, second by Dan Collins. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Nays, ayes have it. 5B, consideration to approve the minutes from the joint city council and utility board meeting from February 29th, 2024.
I just have one comment. I mean, it was well done and captured what transpired, but I think we need to add a note to it. It specifically states the utility board did not have a quorum. They did at their utility board meeting, but when they came to meet with us, they did not have a quorum.
So is it a motion to amend that then? Like
Yes.
that? Okay. Motion by Dockery, second by Yossi to approve the joint city council utility board meeting to amend that there was not a quorum by the utility board. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Nays? Ayes have it. 5C, consideration of the approve the bills payable. Anybody, Brian, you have any questions? Dane?
No question.
Brian, do you?
I have no questions tonight.
Okay, Scott, do you have any questions?
Not tonight, thank you.
All right. With that being said, do I hear a motion to approve the bills payable as presented?
I'll make that motion. Second.
Motion by Yossi, second by Dockery to approve the bills payable as presented. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Nays, ayes have it. Consideration 5C, consideration to reappoint Eric Grughagen to the Board of Adjustment for a 5-year term to expire on 3/19/29. I reached out to him and talked to him last week, had a nice conversation with Eric. He is honored for us to think about reconsidering him. And we also talked about his concern about Sheridan Meadows and what might be done there in the future. So I'd make a recommendation to reappoint Eric Grughagen to the Board of Adjustment for a 5-year term.
Jeff, he's been real active. Evan.
Yep, it's been a good board member.
Okay, so moved, Your Honor.
Okay, moved. No, he has not moved.
Just making sure. I said that.
Okay. Motion by Collins, second by Dockery, to approve Eric Grughagen to the Board of Adjustment 5-year term. All those in favor say aye.
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 Nays, the ayes have it. Thank you, Scott. 6A, consideration of the second reading of ordinance 2024-7, establishing chapter 20 right-of-way utility easement. Jeff, can I call on you that? Have we heard anything?
No, Your Honor, there's been any comments to that.
All right. Do I hear a motion to approve the second reading?
So moved.
Second.
Give it to Scott.
All right, motion by Dockery, second by Campbell to approve the second reading ordinance 2024-7, establishing chapter 20 right-of-way utility easements. Roll call.
Campbell,
Aye.
Collins,
Aye.
Dockery,
Aye.
Yossi,
Aye.
The second reading of ordinance 2024-7 passes. 6B, consideration of second reading of ordinance 2024-8, define tobacco shops and establish them as permitted use in I-1 light industrial district. Jeff, can I call on you again for that?
Yes, Mayor, we have received no comments on that ordinance either.
Make a motion to approve this as the second reading of ordinance 2024-08.
There a second?
Second.
Motion by Dockery, second by Yossi to approve the second reading of ordinance 2024-8, undefined tobacco shops. Roll call.
Yossi,
Aye.
Dockery,
Aye.
Collins,
Aye.
Campbell,
Aye.
Second reading of ordinance 2024-8 passes. Number 6C, discussion consideration of approving and hiring a part-time employee perform janitorial service for city hall offices, council chamber, police department, and city maintenance shop. Nevada, can I call on you for this, please?
Sure, Mayor. So earlier this year, we received 3 proposals for janitorial services. Currently, we use Always Clean. They submitted a proposal. We also got a proposal from Cindy Higgins and from Midwest Janitorial. When those proposals came forward, the city council asked that I look into what the cost would be to hire a part-time person to perform these services. That the city used to have a part-time employee that did janitorial services. So I pulled up that old employee record and determined they averaged about 4 to 6 hours a week to perform the cleaning services at these same locations. So I calculated based on a 6-hour week at a $15 per hour, which is what we pay most of our part-time staff at the community center. So comparable wage to that. Also looking at about $200 to $300 per month on cleaning supplies, which would be a high-end estimate, but just looking to get the highest estimate of what we would be looking at for a part-time employee at that wage. That cost came out to be about $7,000 to $8,200 a year in wages and cleaning supplies. I also did a projection for if we were to use someone, one of our current office staff. There is some interest from one of our current employees in possibly doing the janitorial duties. So I did put a projection together on if that were to occur and we considered paying the same wage, looking at around $24 an hour. Again, looking at $200 to $300 per month in supplies for cleaning, for a total cost of somewhere between $9,900 to $11,100 in wages and cleaning supplies. Both of those estimates and projections are going to be lower than the two lowest vendor proposals, which were pretty equal at about $14,400 per year.
One projection two will also have, well, it depends on how we do it. Will we do that separate and send a 1099 for that, or will that be under current hours and have to pay hypers and everything else?
It would be a separate position, a separate job classification. So it would be two different jobs. So, and it would still be part-time, so it still would not have the benefits and the hypers attached to that position. Still getting some clarification from the city attorney on how that works with FLSA, but because it's two different jobs, one a part-time position and one full-time, we should still be able to do that
Oh,
at a same as or similar rate.
yeah, we'll have to be very careful, make sure we do it right, because they'll have over 40 hours.
Right.
You know, how that would hold up. The other thing is when we originally talked about this, it came up in discussion, who cleans this facility? And would that person be interested in doing the other ones too?
One of the current employees here that takes care of those duties here.
I mean, this place is pretty well kept clean. And we have a responsible person doing it, something to look at.
Are they full-time here? Doing the cleaning?
Part-time.
Part-time.
If they were to take this job on, would that push them over their part-time status?
I don't know for sure, what the number of hours are that that employee has per week, but we would have to look at that so they don't go over that limit. We know between the 4 facilities that we were looking at for this particular proposal, about 6 hours was pretty average, the highest being 7. I would assume when they do those twice a year duties of extra, dusting and cleaning windows and those things.
I would think if we did this and it was treated as a separate part-time job, $15 range should be the number. Just because if someone does work with higher rates for doing other job duties, I don't think that warrants it for cleaning. I mean, if they want to do the same thing for the $15 an hour,
well, then our costs. They're part-time, so no benefits, but the taxes, social security, you're paying to the state will.
That will come out of the $15 base wage, so they'll just,
That,
that'll be
they're supposed,
deducted
so even a
out.
part-time would be 1099.
we could 1099 and have them take care of their own taxes, or we could pay them the base wage and have it come out of payroll. But we would still we would be paying that base wage, and then they would just have their take home after the deductions.
So I guess I like something maybe a little bit more in the middle. I think it's gonna be more difficult to find somebody at $15 an hour, and then you back out any taxes and that from them. I don't know that you're gonna get the quality that is needed. I mean, we could always try it, but I think if you found a medium between 15 and the 24 with taxes involved with it, then I think we're gonna get a better product.
But when you figure the employer side of the taxes, even without hypers and all that, don't that get it really close to one of these other bids?
Well, the taxes are gonna be coming out of our base wage, so this is gonna be their gross, and then they're gonna net after the taxes are taken out. So we're gonna be responsible for these wages is what I'm calculating it off of. prior to taxes being taken. This isn't what they would take home, this is what we would be responsible for.
Right, but the employer's percentage, like I have employees, so he has stuff taken out and I have to pay
So for
into it
the
as well.
federal,
Mhm.
It'd be better if we could 1099 and that way the city would not be responsible for any type of employer taxes.
But say the employer side of taxes would push even that $15 person.
Yeah,
About 18
Yeah.
probably.
yeah.
they're at about 4 hours per week. I think most of the checks, the 2-week checks were between $90 and $100, so we're looking at them.
Better
Minimum
option if we
amount.
would 1099 them. That way we wouldn't be responsible for unemployment or anything.
Well, wait.
That makes sense to me.
Why don't we, you think it's a little more, go to $17 or $17.50, under the understanding that it's a different job and, we're going to send them a 1099 and not take out taxes and stuff.
17 and 1099.
$17.50, somewhere in there. And
That way there's no unemployment, there's no anything we have to deal with it.
So that'll be our actual cost per hour.
They'll have to provide the proper insurance.
They'll have to provide insurance.
Yes. As a 1099 contractor, otherwise if we had an audit and they come in and they don't have any insurance, they're gonna force us to pay insurance for the work comp. Yep, the full rate, yep. So that's gotta be a, something that's definitely approved before they start.
Unless they sign a waiver.
Doesn't matter if they sign a waiver. Audits don't care. You could have them a subcontractor and they still sometimes will fight it. Government's goofy about that.
So we be better off with one of these other bids, because that
Well-
person, by the time they pay for insurance,
That
there won't be much left.
That's my other concern too, is if we thought about using a city employee, I think we could be in a position where we could almost be forced into paying those extra benefits, even if it's a separate job classification altogether, they're still an employee of the city and they're still doing work for the city. So I'm not sure.
I have 2 different rates at Grand Haven all the time. You can do different rates for different jobs.
I understand that. I'm just saying, but for a 1099 contractor / employee, you would have to usually be one or the other.
Yeah.
It cross paths too much if you have somebody that's doing both.
I think if it was a current employee that was gonna do the role, we would have to pay them on the payroll.
Yeah.
But we could still do that under FLSA.
You should work up your numbers or plug in the next meeting.
I make a motion, we table it until the next meeting or a future meeting, so we can just do a little bit more research, run a little bit harder numbers maybe on the actual cost if and maybe get some verification on the insurance side of it, work comp side of it.
And if they are a 1099 employee, we know what they would have to have for insurance and what that would cost.
Cities, our new insurance carrier is gonna have a minimum required insurance that they're gonna have to carry.
What insurance they needed
order
at
for that.
1099.
They get cost of insurance.
Okay.
Get a recommended and a cost of insurance
For
report.
what they would have to carry.
Yeah,
I'm gonna guess $1 million minimum.
Will we include that under umbrella? Certain thresholds and an umbrella up to that, because umbrella. So you made a motion table and I'll second your motion.
motion by Yossi, second by Dockery to table for further information to be provided on part-time city employee to do cleaning. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Nays? Ayes have it. 60, consideration to approve the second annual K9 fundraiser golf outing event for the police department on Saturday, May 18, 2024 at the Rustic Ridge Golf Course here in Eldridge. Ryan or Garrett, can I call on you for that?
Yeah, we can both answer whatever you want.
Okay, either one.
Yeah, we're just looking at doing the fundraiser pretty much for the maintenance of the dog. The dog, when Jacob was on vacation last week, was at the same, the rehab facility per se. They cleared the dogs so they can start doing narcotics work and tracking. So we've reached out to the kennel. Jacob's looking at touching base with him, going back to the kennel, starting the end of last week of March. And then we're looking at having the dog in service middle of April. So the golf outing obviously helps with the maintenance with the dog. We decided to do it at Rustic Ribs this year, keep it in community, give them a little bit of the business too. And then obviously the proceeds go to food, maintenance, the health insurance for the dog, upkeep with the dog and all that good stuff, so.
Your Honor, this is just a result of me asking for it to be on the agenda. I'm in favor of it. Last year, my motion was to try it 1 year, see how it went, then we'll reevaluate it. And that's why I just wanted to be on the agenda. I'm in favor of this, but
Okay,
as a technicality, we didn't approve this year yet.
sure.
I just want to make everything clearing point.
And that's what this motion is done.
Correct.
Okay. So are you?
Do you guys have set documentation or how you're collecting your donations? As far as what they're supposed to put on the check or the check memo, or if it's cash, how you determine if it's specifically for the K9 dog, not?
So like we were talking just before that, with the checks for the golf outing itself. According to Nevada and Martha, they have to have K9 on there somewhere, so then we can put it into the K9 donation. Cause if it just says Eldridge Police Department, then technically we could use that for other equipment or whatever else. So to streamline it, have K9 on there somewhere, and we'll get it allocated to the K9 fund.
I put mine in my memo. I just put K9 slash.
Which works. So.
And just to kind of piggyback on that, last year, we were very successful with the golf outing and raising the funds for the K9. We hope to be just as successful, if not better than last year this year, because now the word is out and the prices are lower and it's local, and we're really excited about getting some local businesses in. We've already got a lot of businesses that have come forward and said that this is going to be really good for the community. So we're all real excited about it. So thank you for considering the approval tonight.
I make a motion to approve the K9 golf outing this year.
Second.
Second.
Motion by Dockery, second by Yossi to approve the second annual K9 fundraiser golfing event here at Eldridge Rustic Ridge Golf Course on Saturday, May 18, 2024. All those in favor say aye.
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 Thank you for doing it on a Saturday.
Yeah, we had a lot of talks about that.
See, and by my motion, you have to come back next year, then you get free press again promoting it.
There you go.
Moving on to 7A, consideration of resolution 2024-7, approving the final plat, Rosenell subdivision. Jeff, can I call on you for that?
Yes, Mayor. Final plat and application was received. There's a diagram, on the memo and the final plat itself in your packet. Basically, this is more of a replat, just turning two lots with one that was kind of an unusual, maybe unusable shape into, two lots that will be more productive. So this did go in front of the Planning and Zoning Commission on February 15th and was approved by them, prior to.
Unanimously.
Yeah, unanimously. This is a much better use of the space as far as city staff is concerned, and all the requirements for platting have been met.
What are they planning on doing with it exactly? Any idea?
Mr. Rose now is here. If you have specific questions, he plans on retaining the small square. He's been cleaning that lot up. I don't know if you've been by there lately, but, he didn't own it previously. Now that he owns it, he's been putting in some time and cleaning that up. He plans to retain that parcel, the smaller parcel, and selling the other one. I know somebody's been looking at it for a construction office. I'm sure there's a lot of other uses. It's zoned C3 general commercial. which would also include all the C2 and C1 uses. So there's a lot that somebody could do with it.
You hear a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Dockery, second by Campbell to approve resolution 2024-7, approving the final plan of the Rosemount subdivision. Roll call.
Collins,
Aye.
Zachary,
Aye.
Ilse,
Aye.
Campbell,
Aye.
Resolution 2024-7 passes. 7B, consideration of approval of proposal from Shive Hattery for Leclerc Road Corridor Study to include transportation engineering, planning services in the amount of $43,150. Nevada, can I call on you for this?
Sure. So city staff, Brian Wessel, Tony Rubin, myself have been meeting with our city engineer, Zach Howell, with Shive Hattery, looking at, different public improvement and street projects to start working on getting a 2 to 5 year CIP put into place. We are working on the current projects that are gonna be in the fiscal year 25 budget cycle. And part of the upcoming 2 to 5 years, we were looking at some of the areas that were gonna be larger projects that we would be seeking some sort of grant funding for. And East Leclerc Road is one particular spot where we know we're gonna have a fairly large project coming up in the next few years. Trying to figure out what the design and scope of that work is gonna be, and preparing an application that we can submit for grants that'll be competitive. We'll take some studying and different engineering plans and designs to do traffic studies and things along that corridor. So Zach's actually here as well tonight to talk a little bit about that proposal and the different things that we will get as a result of that study.
Zach Howell from Shive Hattery. Nevada hit the most of it. We just talking with city staff, we know there's gonna be some work on Leclerc Road that needs to happen in the next few coming years. Whether it's traffic signal work, roadway replacement work, the potential on-ramp, the signal there. So this corridor study would just be to look at the corridor as a whole and get so we have a coherent plan in place that we can start planning out. And as she said, looking at funding options through those years of how to pay for it, as opposed to just kind of doing each project separately and piecing them together. So, I believe the last corridor study of Leclerc Road was done in 2001. So a lot's kind of happened and the city's evolved a lot since then. So I feel it'd be a good time to look at the corridor as a whole at this point.
So this is just a study and not preliminary engineering on it?
It's a study, yes, and some high level concepts, some costing that the city can use to start their CIP process, identifying potential funding avenues that we can then explore. And then some outreach to come up with some different ideas of what might work best for the tour.
I looked at this, first I thought, don't take this wrong, but I thought the price was too high for just a study. We've got things in there about pedestrian travel. We've already got a bike path out there. We know that the loops on the ramps coming from northbound 61 down to Leclerc Road, all the wires are broken. That's why the timing on the lights don't work right anymore. We know we have some patchwork, but as far as from 9th to by Medic there, it's just a matter of replace what's there. We know that. Now, as far as from there going out, do we go with 4 lanes, 3 lanes? That's kind of a question that's long term. But I just thought it was a little high price for putting that together.
Yeah, so the idea would be, yes, to look at this kind of more long-term, to see what we want, the plans that we want to start putting together, I guess, yes. Because we know that the intersection at 9th, those signals are old and there's potentially some widening of that intersection that might need to happen. We have the 4th and 6th intersections that are now unsignalized that potentially either do warrant signals now already or potentially or will soon in the future. So we want to really look at those ones and if options to see if we want signals there or if there's other type of traffic meters we want to explore in those as well. So that's kind of the goal of this study to look at all those items and come up with options to the council that then they can take and decide what they want to, how they want to prioritize those and how we want to attack that.
Well, the immediate needs are gonna be North Sixth Avenue. We've already delegated funds or earmarked funds for signalizing that. Or Fourth, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And there's some work, I believe, that needs to be done on the retaining wall underneath the overpass.
Yeah, I think it's known from 9th Street East that that pavement's over 40 years old and that's gonna need, it likely will probably need some more than patching in the near future. So, depending on that work, and then if we wanna, because right now that's a rural section, if we want, if that wants to get converted to an urban section to match the rest of, the rest of Leclerc going west or not.
And I think we're trying to, as part of the goal too, is figuring out what that design is gonna be and what we need with that traffic study, so that when the DOT comes to do, the ramps, which we don't have a year yet for that, but we would like to be able to collaborate with them a little bit in redoing our section of the roadway right there, so that hopefully, they can absorb some of the cost in that project and work together with us on that as well, since we know we're gonna have to replace the loops in some
We
way,
can
shape,
coordinate with them about what we want to know, what we want to do on this corridor, and hopefully we can coordinate more with the DOT, and when they do their on-ramp works, we can coordinate with whatever Leclerc work we want to do.
Are those Eldridge lights or DOT lights? I don't know.
Eldridge operates and maintains the lights,
Yeah.
yeah.
We paid electricity on.
Yep.
That's my train of thought. Yeah. Get it back in a second.
So will this study put us in a position to be able to have everything ready to go to put out for RFPs if it comes to that then? Or
Yeah,
will there
I
be
think-
more work that'll need to be done once we dial it in.
Yeah, I mean, the next step would probably be trying to find funding avenues, some grants and available funding that to help cover the cost of these. Once we have an idea of what we want to do on this corridor, that would probably be the next step. So this is just more helping the city plan out the next 3 to 5 years, as Nevada said, of their CIP plan to get us ready for the future. So we have these projects that we know we need to do and just start working.
So will you phase or put the study in phases, like 9th to 16th and 16th to Scott Park Road?
That could certainly be part of it. Yeah, I think that's kind of what we want to figure out with this study is, yeah, if it's feasible to do this as one huge project, more likely, yes, it would probably be phased into multiple projects over multiple years. Maybe it's doing, the fourth and Leclerc intersection first and then, moving down or doing, the pavement east of 9th to the on-ramp. Maybe that's a phase, so,
It's probably gonna be 9th Avenue intersection because the long trucks can't make that turn.
The white radius there in that corner, no doubt about it.
And we've got oversized loads trying to cut through there and it bottles up traffic like crazy.
Yep, and so that's what we want to look at as part of this is how it all works together, all the intersections.
So you're not thinking of goofy planters in the middle of the road up there, are you?
Let's see what I'm
Who's saying that?
impartial to roundabouts if you want.
No, thank you.
Mayor, may I add something there? So,
Yes, go ahead.
thank you, appreciate that. Mario Boyle, one of the residents I always, I remember time past here not long ago, we put together a study of the streets that we're going to be doing around town. And also we submitted it to the Bi-State Regional Commission to see which ones will be eligible for federal funding. Leclerc Road is the main one that is eligible for federal funding, if it's available. Now, there's still more money coming down the pike from all this infrastructure rebuild stuff, so it's gonna be coming available. And also, and I don't see any mention about West Leclerc Road yet either, from First out to 90. And we redid that road probably 7 years ago. And it's held up good.
I told you, hold on.
It held up good, that's right. Mainly because how we designed the overlay.
But we can mill that, put another overlay and get us another 6 to 10 years.
But it's a long term, it needs attention, there's no doubt.
I don't know. Or Marty, do you guys remember on Westwood Road, we did, separated the engineering from our state bid because we didn't have to jump through so many hoops.
That's right.
And it was done in 2 phases.
Did we do the similar phase to that out there? I don't remember.
We did the engineering from Ninth out to, Buttermilk.
But did we do a corridor study on that before
I
we
don't
did the
think,
engineering?
I don't think,
I think 2000, pretty sure 2001 was the last one that was done. That's what, out of that study is when I think LeClaire Road was converted from a 2-lane rural to the 3-lane from 9th west. I think that's what came out of that 2001 study.
There, for highway too.
Yep.
but Westwood Clay Road's still covered by the federal dollars. Yeah.
Yeah, there might even be some farm to market road funds for that too.
Exactly right, exactly right.
I initially agreed with Brian in terms of the cost, but I think it's important to look long-term and big picture. So I'd make a motion, Mr. Mayor, to approve this study.
Thank you, Scott. We'll hear a second.
One last comment before.
Yes, Brian?
Every year because we're members of I-State, we get certain services from them, one thing a year. Have we looked at I-State doing a traffic count out there?
I don't know if we've had them look at doing a traffic count. They're looking at reclassifying Lincoln Road to become eligible for federal funds because it's not classified to be eligible, and that's another one that's gonna be coming up. So they were gonna look at doing that reclassification for us and doing traffic counts out there.
Because in your proposal, if I read it right, the traffic count's only gonna be over a 12-hour period.
Yep, yeah. Usually you want to really count, the peak hours are the main, where you get most of your counts from, and that's where you kind of build your traffic needs from.
So will you do it for the peak hours on a few days? Or are you gonna do it 12 hours straight in the same day? Because statistically, the number's gonna be different.
Typically, you pick a Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday are the days where you get your most consistent traffic counts. So usually you do it one of those 3 days is when you run traffic counts. I mean, we could certainly run them longer than 12 hours if desired, but, because usually you want to run it through your AM peak, which is typically 6 to 9 or 6 to 8 in the morning, and then your PM peak, which is usually around 4 to 6. So,
Well, when school gets out, there's a totally different number than the rest of the day.
Yep.
Any other discussion? Second Scott's motion then.
All right.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you.
You're welcome, Marty. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Nays? Ayes have it. 7C, consideration of resolution 2024-8, authorizing reimbursement expense incurred by the city for payment under Iowa Code Section 403.19 at Eldridge Unified Urban Renewal Area within the Eldridge Unified Urban Renewal Plan. I'm calling you for that, please.
Sure. So the internal loan essentially that, we're using to reimburse the, local share of our portion of the First and LeClaire intersection project has now been certified to the county for our, TIP reimbursement, and it was also recorded on our annual urban renewal report. However, this step, that is required as part of that process to be passed by resolution for council, did not occur. So this is a formality to reconcile our annual urban renewal report with our TIP certification to county with a resolution by council for those funds to be reimbursed to, repay our sales tax fund using TIP revenue from the Eldridge Unified Urban Renewal Plan.
Will that close out that project finally then?
It's in the process right now of getting ready for the final audit. We're still actually working through some final, punch list items with Valley, and then it will go for audit with the DOT. Construction's complete. We're paying for it.
I'll make a motion to pass resolution 2024-08.
Second,
Okay, motion by Yoti, second by Campbell to approve resolution 2024-8, authorizing reimbursement expense. Roll call.
Campbell,
aye.
Collins,
Aye.
Dockery,
Aye.
Yossi,
Aye.
Resolution 2024-8 passes. 7D, consideration of resolution 2024-9. Resolution setting right-of-way utility easement management permit fees. Jeff, can I call on you for the resolution 24-9?
Yes, Mayor, thank you. Might be jumping the gun on this a little bit since we have one reading left, but I've spoken with staff and they're recommending a permit fee of $50 for this, and that could be adjusted to whatever the council thinks would be appropriate. I know I've got the 13th on there, so if it is past the night, we'd have to change that to the 18th. But otherwise, it's just establishing a fee for the right-of-way permit, that's going through ordinance right now. We've started an application, that will get online, for people to use. Sorry.
Jeff, is that gonna be per parcel?
So this would be, I believe it's defined in the ordinances per job.
So if somebody went all the way through town,
It'd be one permit, yeah.
So the other cities that you kind of helped, do, what are their charges?
They're all over the board. Most of them are, scale like this. Some of the bigger cities charge, upwards of $100, but none of them were very expensive.
So after they're done, we're having a city employee have to go back and double check that everything's put back correctly.
Yeah, and basically what this does, it's a mechanism for us to have a record of, where everyone has been. I think the staff feels that as long as we cover our time, processing a permit, that they're okay with that. The important part for the staff is to have a record of who's been where, so if we get complaints, we'll be able to go back and take action against whoever left the lawn a mess or.
It's just my opinion, but I think it should be at least 100. Just because of the permit process and for an employee to have to go out there to double check it. To me, that would just be covering our cost.
Agree. I don't want to just get covered for the clerical part of it. I want to be covered if it's a large job that lasts all summer and you've got to send somebody out there 10 times, you're already in the hole.
Right.
So I would be in favor of 100.
Big technically, if somebody gets a permit, you go out there and look at it ahead of time, they'll look at it when they're done to make sure it was restored to the original condition. I'm okay with 100.
So Dan said your motion to approve this, but amend it to $100
Yes.
and amend the date to the 18th.
Yes, sir.
Second. You second it, Ryan? Motion by Collins. And motion second by Yossi to approve resolution 2024-09, setting right-of-way utility easement management fees amended from 50 to 100 and to amend the date from the 13th to the 18th. Roll call.
Dockery,
Aye.
Yossi.
Aye.
Campbell,
Aye.
Collins,
Aye.
Resolution 2024-9, setting right-of-way utility easement passes. Number 8, board staff activity reports. Nevada, I'll call on you first.
I just have a few quick updates. The Townsend Farm Shared Use Trail Project is set for a bid letting date of May 21st, 2024. We're working to schedule our audit presentation with our auditing firm, Bonsack and Fromelt. We're looking to schedule that on April 1st ahead of the city council meeting. We do still have to confirm that they are available. So we'll send out confirmation shortly, but we are looking to get that scheduled in the month of April for sure.
We have committee, the whole meeting scheduled before that meeting. Is that when you plan on doing it?
Yes.
Okay.
Also on April 1st at 5:45, just ahead of the scheduled committee of the whole meeting, we will have the public hearing for the max levy. So just a reminder for that, and then it'll get set then with it by resolution in the city council meeting later that evening. And we want to continue to work towards scheduling the joint park board and city council meeting in April. So look for an email coming out on that to determine how you want to set that. If you want to go to one of their board meetings or invite them to a council meeting, but with just 2 meetings at the council in April, we want to start looking at scheduling that. I'll send out an email this week.
Thanks for that.
Has any of the counties' new assessment forms been mailed out? Has anybody received them yet?
I thought it made it sound like it would, from when they published that Thursday or middle of last week.
I talked to Tom McManus, he said they're coming out this week.
Yeah.
I've got a list, there's not a whole lot, really.
Well, it's,
I thought they said 7 to 10 days.
but it could be confusing what they're mailing out. Some residents may be calling.
I'll have a story in the paper this week with the list of dates coming out and how much each town's getting.
Okay. But I mean, they don't list all the taxing entities, so what you get in the mail does not generally reflect what your tax statement or obligation is gonna be.
Oh, I thought we were talking about the valuation notices. Those are going out. There's other things. I'm sorry.
What are you talking about?
Well, the valuation notice will have value, but it has nothing to do with your property. Well, it does have something to do with your property tax, but you can't correlate what they're gonna send out
With the other notices coming
with
out.
the other notices. And the timing of that with us having to have our budget done is less than ideal.
All right, Assistant City Manager Jeff.
I've got a West Valley Drive update, from last meeting. Since the group of 3 residents came and complained about the excessive speeding there, the police department's been doing extra patrols. They've issued a few warnings. The highest speed clock so far has been 33 miles per hour, with a couple being 27. That was super excessive. Having a police car sitting there might in itself be a pretty good deterrent though. So the portable speed sign has been fixed and has been set up there. So that's also there as a deterrent. Mr. Wessel obtained a quote from Tapco for a permanent digital speed sign. The total cost of that is $4,281.76. They would like to proceed and buy that. Pay for it out of road use money. If that's something that needs to go on the agenda for next time, we can do that. If it's not, they can go ahead and purchase it. So I'll ask for your guidance on that. They hope that that would be a deterrent, enough that if that's there in a fixed location for a long time, we wouldn't have to go the speed table, speed bump route, like we did on Pinehurst, because that would be a lot more expensive. The new digital sign, I've got a sheet on it. Some of this information I didn't have together in time to get it on the agenda, but I do have a spec sheet for it. I can email out so you guys can take a look at it. It is something that can be moved, to another location. Doesn't have to permanently be there. It'd be fixed to the post, but we could move it to other areas of town if we wanted to, which makes, it much more useful to us, I think. Mr. Howell gave me some information about the speed tables. It needs to be, if we had to go that route, it need to be placed no closer than 200 feet from the intersection. On Pinehurst, we maintained a distance of 1,500 feet between them. This section of road's only 1,300 and some feet, so really we'd only put one on there. Seems that the preferred location to be toward the west end of the road like we talked about last time. The citizens that spoke at the last council meeting mentioned lowering the speed limit to 20 miles per hour. In conversations with city staff and the city engineer, Mr. Howell. We would hesitate to reduce the speed down to that. Just the business district on North Second Street is the only place in town with a 20 mile per hour speed limit. All the school zones are currently 25 miles per hour, so we think it would just create more confusion among people by having something in the middle of town that's 20 at the location there.
Ordinance is set up, it's all
Yeah,
25 unless otherwise posted.
yeah, according to city code, the local street speed limit is 25 miles per hour unless specifically noted, which says, and that's directly out of code. So I've been in contact with the main spokesperson from West Valley Drive, and we'll continue to do so as we work through this.
I had one of the residents let me know that the camera quit over the weekend. I said batteries probably went dead in it.
It was dead today.
Might have Keith go get it to take it and recharge them or something.
I'll shoot him an email tomorrow.
So I don't think we have hitches on any of the spots anymore, do we?
No.
It seemed like the residents are satisfied to this point, at least with the ideas that are being offered.
Yeah, I believe so. They did bring up, I haven't gotten back to them on the 20 mile per hour thing. That was the last thing that they said to me in the conversation for the meeting. So I'll get back to them about that, but I think they're feel good about what's taking place so far.
Well, thank you, PD, for putting that.
Yeah, no problem. I was gonna say this for our update, but we're actually looking at ordering another, new speed trailer in July through GTSP funding. That one's battery or, solar powered, battery backup. And it does, collect speed data too. So if the other one's feasible enough to keep around and we order that one, why not look at it?
Yeah, and I know that the small one does keep data also, and it's got some kind of Bluetooth connectivity.
Yeah, so if that saves you guys money, if the other one works for now and we're ordering the new one, then we'll have two essentially, so.
Okay, and we'll let the council decide, I guess, how you want.
I'm not opposed to it.
I think we need it anyway. I mean, I think if we had the one that you could move from post to post, I think we'd find plenty of reasons around town to put it different times of the year.
Absolutely.
I'll make a motion to authorize them to purchase one as presented, and we'll see how it works.
All those in favor of the solar powered speed sign?
Aye.
Aye.
Nays? Ayes have it. Thank you, Jeff. Mark, do you have anything?
Are they gonna tell us about the face recognition?
We're getting there. You're gonna overstep Martha?
I included in the packet an analysis of the budget and also a treasurer's report. I just need, does anybody have any questions on it that I can answer?
Really looks reasonable.
Yes, it is. There's also another issue. Our cash is off by $9,400. Our pool cash, which is the cash for the city as a whole, all the funds. It includes all the funds. I went back at least 3 years and I was not able to find when it went off. So, depending on what our auditors say, we might even, maybe they can recommend us just, clearing that out with a journal entry. Or the other option is to have our software company go back and find when the discrepancy occurred at $100 an hour, and they have no idea how long it would take. $150 an hour, I'm sorry. So, waiting on the response from our auditors and see what they recommend. Otherwise, we need to clear that discrepancy out so we can start fresh at a zero balance. And we have no idea where it went off.
It's a positive, not a loss.
Well, something did not get put in the ledger correctly. So it's not a cash loss. It's just something that needs to be corrected in the general ledger.
So it's a typo previous to the last 3 years.
Well, I went back 3 years and I couldn't find where it went off, so.
Could have been over the last 17 years.
Don't understand that.
Well, let us know what the auditors.
Yeah, depending on what the auditors recommend, we might, otherwise we won't have would have to have our Tyler Technologies go back and try to, figure out where it went off. And I mean, it's a project that's gonna be kind of costly. So I'll keep the council posted as to what happens.
Cause I think when the auditor did the investigation, they didn't go through that fund. There too much with credit cards and other funds.
Yeah, I don't have no idea where it could be. So,
Thank you, Martha.
sure.
And police department.
Already kind of touched on the canine. Obviously, the handler will continue the exercise rehabs throughout the next longevity of having the dog. We do have, slot for the April Academy set for someone to go in April. We got everything squared away. Their spot is, solidified there. We're doing testing again March 30th. I think applications are still coming in. Got a couple certified people. So we'll see where we're at there, but we for sure are sending one to the academy in April. So then I'll turn it over to Garrett. He can kind of fill you in on the Clearview.
Thank you.
So, last week we got a very generous donation from the First Trust and Savings Bank here in town. To help us, kickstart our facial recognition, technology program. This kind of stemmed from an investigation that I had back in December. We had a person come into our bank who presented a false ID. His picture was accurate. However, all of the information on the identification was not accurate. It was not him. He ended up obtaining a little over $10,000 from this investigation during this crime. So I was able to get the photograph from the ID that he issued, and I submitted it to our Fusion Center. And about a couple days later, they came back with a positive potential hit on who this person may be. Through investigation, we discovered that it was indeed the person we're looking for. We found out that he absconded from jail in Kentucky, and he was working his way north, committed his crimes here in Eldridge. And then once we were able to get the warrants approved for his arrest, he was actually located in Minnesota, where authorities picked him up in Minnesota. He was then transported back to Kentucky, where he's serving his time in Kentucky. After he's done down there, he's going to come back to Scott County and go to trial for what he did here in Eldridge. I was so impressed by the results from the program. I wanted to do some research into it. I called them directly because I wanted to get the results, see if I could get the results faster than waiting a couple, weeks or whatnot, and seeing if there was something we had more control over to expedite those types of investigations. So I reached out to the company, which is Clearview AI is what they're called. And they gave us a 30-day trial run, and we wanted to see how often, if at all, we would even use the program, if it was even worth the expenditure. Within that 30 days, we were cross-referencing the Crime Stoppers photos, and we were using shoplifting photos, and it was giving us the results that we were looking for, that we were actually using. And like with our shoplifting cases here from Hy-Vee, we were able to get identified, good identities there to continue our investigations that way. One of the things, though, that I want to make sure that everybody knows, even the public, is that just because this program says, hey, we have a possible match of the person you're looking for, doesn't necessarily constitute enough information for us to make arrest solely based on that information. We still have to continue to do our investigation. It gives us a start, an investigative lead, if you will. And then we can continue to do our interviews and fact finding. So we use that simply as an investigative tool, not as probable cause to make an arrest. Does that make sense? So there are over this program, it scours the internet for public photos, not private photos, of over 40 billion plus photographs that exist on the internet that are open to the public. It'll also hit on, say, videos that were filmed after the fact. So it's not like a live feed where we're constantly watching, and it's not a situation where it's, constantly monitoring. That's not how that works. It's, if a crime happens, we have a photo, and say, 3 days ago, that suspect had put a picture that was public on Facebook, and it this program can scrape that off and show, hey, this person just posted 2 days ago. We think this is a match. And it has over 600 some odd algorithms. It measures like many different perspectives on the face, from the nose to the lips, to the eyes, to the foreheads, and all that stuff. It's an amazing tool. We're really excited to have it. We're really excited to partner with Clearview AI with it. We do have, because of the donation, we were able to get a 1-year subscription for 1 license. The person, so I'm the one that is authorized to use it. The chief oversees it. He makes sure that, everything's being done per policy, per training. The chief has actually created a policy governing the use of it, to make sure that it's used only for active cases. So there won't be any kind of misuse from any person in the future who happens to earn access, I should say. It's simply an investigative tool, and we are really excited to use it because we think it's gonna help us out big time.
So should I call you Abby Shuto? SGIS?
Right.
Because they use that program on their TV show all the time.
Yeah,
What do
exactly.
you have to do to have it so another officer can access that program?
So if another officer has or needs use of it, then it is regulated by me and the chief. Because if we were to get, say, another license, so say that the Sarge says, I'd like to have a license as well, I'd like to be able to use it, that's gonna cost an additional $3,500 for another license. The other thing that's gonna be really great too is that with our 1080E agreement that we have with other police agencies throughout the Quad Cities, if, say, Davenport or Bettendorf or Scott County Sheriff's Office has a case, they need help to identify, we can offer that assistance to them and say, hey, we can run that. Do you have a picture? We can maybe look to see if we get a match of your suspect. We can help out with that as well.
And to answer your question, Ryan, if one of the other guys gets a case with a photo or whatever else, they'll just cross-reference with me and the chief and Garrett. And then Garrett can log in and he'll run it through. It'll be accessible to all the officers.
Sure, I didn't know if the license was person specific, so.
Yeah.
One license is one person.
Yes. And the chief as the administrator, he doesn't have to have a license because he's the administrator for it. He's overseeing the program. So there's not a charge for the chief to be able to access and look as well.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
It's exciting.
It is.
You ready for me, Frank?
I am.
I'll make a motion for adjournment.
Scott, you want to second that?
I would love to.
Okay. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Nay. Adjourned at 8:03.